Okay, we've got episode show number 43 of the Teal Shirt Report podcast from BigJReport.com. By all means, please subscribe to the channel. I know not everybody subscribes to the channel that watches, but we would appreciate it if you would. Give us a thumbs up as well. And here we go. Preseason is underway. Training camp went on, and there's new coaches, there's a new GM. I mean, there's just a new way of doing things. I heard Liam Cohen quoted as saying, everybody in the NFL runs the same plays. Your guys have to run them better than the other teams. And I'll agree with some of that, but I'm going to tell you, there's players on this team that are very high draft picks and make huge money. They're going to have to look themselves in the mirror. Josh Allen, Trayvon Walker, most of the starters got in this game. And I stopped the music, JC, by the way. Our executive producer, JC. Great show on Thursday nights, JC, live from the pub in the Big J Report Facebook chat. People were talking about your show, JC. John Gaylor likes your show quite a bit. I know he was listening. And perhaps Alex is listening too. That's a great thing. So, talking about the Jaguars preseason game, it was an L. Last year, the Jags were 3-0 in the preseason. I thought the defense was in precision last year, at least during the preseason. Then once we got into the regular season, that kind of changed. To me, it looks like the defense had their struggles and difficulties no matter who was in there. There was one player that I'd call the defensive player of the game, Dawon Smoot. Played for the Buffalo Bills last year. This has been like his third or fourth contract with the Jaguars, but he did spend 2024 with the Buffalo Bills. I saw Dawon Smoot make a vicious, ferocious tackle and a sack of the quarterback. That was the defensive play of the game. The kid out of Navy, a late-round draft pick, he was playing hard. He's trying to make this team, and he's got a shot because I believe he can play special teams. Jags news and notes from the preseason. By the way, the Jumbo Shrimp have 70 wins now. They keep on winning. We'll talk about them in a few moments. But Jags news and notes from the preseason. And keep in mind, we talk mainly Jacksonville Jaguars football, the Jaguars from the NFL. We talk North Florida entertainment, SEC football. I mean, SEC football, man, looks like there's 4 or 5 teams at the top that could win it all. Ole Miss might be a little down this year. I think Alabama will get back into the fray and be a top 4 team in the conference. I think as long as DJ Lagway's out there playing and healthy, I think Florida can be a top 4 or 5 team in the SEC in 2025. Texas and Georgia, they've got to be considered the odds-on favorite. And then you got, probably Florida, LSU after that, and Alabama. And not necessarily in that order as far as the SEC goes. Jaguars news and notes. I'm messaging with Alex Nunnery as we speak. Alex went to the rugby championship, and sadly, the Jacksonville Axemen lost to the Brooklyn Kings. Brooklyn Kings 34, the Jacksonville Axemen 18. There's a video on our channel with Alex Nunnery reporting on that national championship game in the United States, the USA Rugby League nationally. This was a national championship game in which the Brooklyn Kings beat the Jacksonville Axemen. Kind of low-scoring game, I think, for rugby, even though I'm not a rugby aficionado. This game was played at UNF in Jacksonville. The Brooklyn Kings 34, the Jacksonville Axemen 18. For more on rugby, the Axemen, and Brooklyn, who won the title, on this same channel, subscribe to this channel, and you'll be able to find Alex Nunnery's reports. He's a Big J Report sports reporter. He's been covering rugby. He's got a lot of high school football stuff coming up soon as well. That's Alex Nunnery. Subscribe to this channel, the Teal Shirt Report podcast from BigJReport.com, and you'll get all the alerts on the videos when they come up. Back to this Jaguars preseason football game on Saturday, August the 9th. You know, I sent a message to John Gaylor during this game, and I said, man, do the preseason games, are they getting worse and worse? So I wrote some notes, and I think I'll read from that and try to convey it as conversationally as I can. Jags news and notes from the preseason. Looked like they put an extra second back on the clock where our field goal kicker, Cam Little, who, by the way, went 4 for 4 in this game, he was the main offensive weapon. Parker Washington had 3 catches, but not a lot of yards. You know, and Brian Thomas Jr. and Travis Hunter touched the ball once or twice apiece. They weren't in the game long. And Trevor Lawrence only was in there for 1 drive. It was a good long drive that ended in a field goal. But let's talk more about it now. You're listening to the Teal Shirt Report podcast, episode show number 43. We want to salute Larry Brown, long time ago, Washington Redskins running back from the late 60s and early 1970s. And the Jaguars have I believe he's a rookie tight end out of North Carolina, John Copenhagen. He wears number 43. Am I pronouncing the guy's name right? Copenhagen, yeah, John Copenhagen. He's listed as a rookie. He's active. He's out of North Carolina. He was born in 2001, JC. That means he's, 24 years old? Born on July the 4th. Can you imagine that? He was born July the 4th of 2001. Pretty good size for a tight end, 6'3", about 240. Number 43, but he's a rookie. And does he make the team? That's a good question. Probably not. He could end up being a taxi squad guy, taxi player on the, do they call it the taxi squad now? They used to call it the taxi squad. I think actually now it's called the practice squad, right? They call it the practice squad, and they can keep more players on there now, I believe, than they used to. So you tuned into the Teal Shirt Report podcast. Jumbo Shrimp have 70 wins. Man, they keep winning. Unbelievable. JC pointed out, our executive producer, that they are a farm team of the Miami Marlins. And they are. But JC, they have gone to Nashville, and they have won almost every game up in Nashville. The series are longer, too. They're not 3 or 4 game series. These are like 6-game series. And the Jacksonville Jumbo Shrimp, through Saturday, I don't believe they've lost a game in Nashville, and they probably played now 5 games up there. They'll finish it off with a 6th game, I believe, on Sunday. This is Sunday, August the 10th now. The Jacksonville Jumbo Shrimp 9, the Nashville Sounds 5. The Sounds are not a bad team. They're 61-50, 11 games over 500. So they're not one of the weak sisters of AAA baseball. But the Jacksonville Jumbo Shrimp, who beat the Nashville Sounds 9-5 in Nashville on Saturday night, August the 9th, the Jacksonville Jumbo Shrimp, JC, are now 70-42. They're having a Milwaukee Brewerish kind of season in Jacksonville. I'll repeat that. The Jacksonville Jumbo Shrimp are actually 70. They're actually 70-42. Can you imagine that? Oh, man, and the coffee is good. Thank you, Coffee Boy. So we're going to get back to talking about it. I know my executive producer, we're 9 minutes in, but our executive producer always likes us to talk mainly about the Jacksonville Jaguars. And I've got a little guideline I'm going by. Let's see. Okay, Jags news and notes from the preseason. Game 1, again, was Saturday, August the 9th. Pretty good crowd here in Jacksonville. There's parking issues because of the fact that now they're renovating the stadium. So there's not as many parking spots as there were. That is creating a little bit of a problem near and around the stadium for the fans. Jags news and notes from the preseason. Again, on the Cam Little 70-yard kick, which is not a record because it's a preseason game. It's got to be a preseason record, right? But it looked like, I'm watching the end of the first half, and there's 5 seconds to play. The Jags run another play. I believe Nick Mullins was out there at the time, the quarterback, who had a pretty good game for the Jaguars, a backup quarterback. He played a little bit longer than Trevor. Nick Mullins was 11 for 18 for 89 yards with 1 touchdown and no interceptions. We won't even talk about Trevor's number. Trevor's numbers because he just wasn't in there long enough. And will Trevor Lawrence play in game 2? There were quarterbacks coming into the game. Wolford, what's his name? Wolford played at Bishop Kenny High School. He played in the old, what was it? What league did he play in? He played in the AAF, I believe. So he's been around some pretty good professional leagues. He's been on some NFL teams. I believe he went to Wake Forest in college, played at Bishop Kenny High School in Jacksonville, and right now he's the 3rd-string quarterback. And there was a 4th-string quarterback that went in, I think, late in the 4th quarter. I don't want to get into all those guys' names right now. But Wolford is a local kid from here. And he actually, in my mind, he ran the offense pretty good when he was in there. There's a lot of people talking about how the Jaguars had their first teamers in there and Pittsburgh didn't. Liam Cohen, the head coach of the Jaguars, said, hey, we're going to play everybody. But everybody was not in there very long. John Wolford was the 3rd quarterback in there for the Jaguars. He is with the Jacksonville Jaguars, his hometown NFL team. Played high school ball at Bishop Kenny. I believe he was at Wake Forest in college. John Thomas Wolford, born in 1995. He was born just a few weeks after the Jaguars opened their inaugural season back in 1995. He played for Bishop Kenny in high school here in Jacksonville. He appeared in 1 postseason contest January 9th at Seattle in 2018. Did he? Wow. I mean, you can look that guy up. He's been in the NFL, I think the AAF, maybe the XFL, USFL. He's been around. Was Wolford with the Jets at one time? Let's just go ahead and look him up right now. Let's go ahead and look him up real quick and see how long he's been around. John Thomas Wolford played high school ball at Bishop Kenny. Okay, here we go. Career history. He was with the Jets briefly, New York Jets briefly in 2018. Arizona Hotshots in 2019. I think that was the AAF team, and that was the only Spurrier coached the Orlando team. What was the Orlando team's name? The Orlando Apollos. They won the league, actually. Wolford played pretty good in that league in the AAF. Played with the Arizona Hotshots. I forgot that they had called that team the Hotshots, Arizona Hotshots in 2019. Played for the Rams from 2019 to 2022, Buccaneers in 2023, now with the Jacksonville Jaguars in 2024. And he's basically the 3rd-string quarterback behind Trevor Lawrence and Nick Mullins. So he's been around, and he's with his hometown team, the Jacksonville Jaguars. He was with the Buccaneers last year in Tampa Bay. And then 2019 to 2022 with the LA Rams. So he's got a history with Liam Cohen, the head coach, because he was in Tampa Bay last year. I mean, it looks like he was with the Jags last year, part of 2024, Tampa Bay in 2023, the Rams from 2019 to 2022. Time flies when you're having fun. 2019 with Arizona Hotshots in the old AAF, which the Orlando Apollos won that league back in 2019. And he was with the New York Jets briefly in 2018. He's basically the 3rd-string quarterback. Played his high school ball in Jacksonville at Bishop Kenny, and I believe he was at Wake Forest in college, I do believe. So interesting stuff. We're 14 minutes in. We're talking about the quarterbacks. Nick Mullins had the best night of the four quarterbacks who played. Mullins was 11 for 18, 11 completions out of 18 attempts for 89 yards, 1 touchdown, no interceptions. Trevor didn't play that long. Trevor was in there part of a pretty substantial long drive that ended in a field goal and the Jags taking a 3-0 lead. So we gave you some of that is good news, actually, because Trevor got out of the game, did not get hurt, although a guy fell on him, fell right on top of him toward the end of the drive. So looked like going back to that field goal, looked like they put an extra second back on the clock where Cam Little could kick it. I mean, I'm looking at I think Nick Mullins was in there at that time late in the second quarter. And Mullins was played well. I think Nick Mullins would be okay for a backup, but in order to win some games, Trevor's going to have to play them, 90% or more of the season. Let's face it. If he gets hurt, Nick Mullins is good to pick things up for a game or two, maybe. But Trevor, you got to have him out there. I'm going to say Trevor's got to play in at least 14, 15 games, more than he played last year. And if he played all 17 games, I think Trevor can put up some numbers with this wide receiver group. The offensive line has got to play well or Trevor will get hurt again. Of course, you get hurt anyway, slip on a banana peel, right? So getting back to the news and notes of this game, we talked about how well the Jumbo Shrimp is playing with 70 wins now. Real quick, JC, again, the Jumbo Shrimp now 70. What are they? 70-42. Isn't that amazing? Amazing stuff. But back to our Jaguars news and notes from the preseason. Looked like they put an extra second back on the clock where Cam Little could kick it. I'm watching the end of the second quarter. 5 seconds left. The Jags run a play, a little short pass, 5 or 6 yards across the middle. The running back just kind of died to the ground, like they wanted to set up some kind of real lengthy field goal. But I think the clock was out then, 0-0. I think maybe the Jags had called timeout and told the officials they wanted to call a timeout at the end of the play. But I think the play clock had run out. Somehow this officiating crew put a second back on the clock, and the Jags kicked a 70-yard field goal. Cam Little proved to be the main weapon for the Jaguars with 3 field goals in the first half, including a 70-yard field goal on the final play of the first half. Apparently a preseason field goal record, not a regular season record, but a preseason field goal record. And, Cam Little kicked another field goal in the second half, and he had 4 field goals. He was 4 for 4. He's very consistent. The punting game is very, very good. Logan Cook, 3 punts, averaged 50 yards a punt. The special teams, the kicking and punting is in the top 5 or the top 10 in the NFL. Now to the bad news. The Jags defense still can't stop anybody. But the best play by the defense was a sack by Dawon Smoot. Now, Smoot has re-signed with the Jaguars after a season in 2024 with Buffalo. The kid from Navy the Jags got in the late rounds, man, he hustles all over the field. Jaguars signed the kid from Navy in the late rounds in the 2025 draft. He looks like he hustles all over the field, and I like that. His name is Rayon Lane III, drafted out of Navy. Looks like Rayon was trying to make the team. That's what they all should be looking like, that they're trying to make the team. He could end up being a special teams player. I'm rooting for the guy. He hustles. Not the biggest guy on the field, obviously, but, man, he hustles. Played for Navy in college. Smart guy. Special teams is going to be his game. He probably played a little defense as a backup, deep backup, but he's going to have to make the team playing special teams, no doubt. So the defense, except for the sack, Dawon Smoot, let me tell you about that sack. He rushes the quarterback, shows havoc, goes after the quarterback, takes him down. He had a tackle, solo tackle, big sack. That one play, he's the star of the defense for the night in preseason, Dawon Smoot, who was drafted several years ago by, I feel like Tom Coughlin's the guy that drafted him when Dave Conwell was a GM, but everything went through Tom Coughlin. DeJuan Smoot is a former third-round pick, and after he got drafted by the Jaguars, he said, man, I should have been drafted in the first round, at least, late in the first round. So DeJuan Smoot, he's the defensive player of the game. Otherwise, except for Rayon running all over the field, tackling a guy, made a good tackle in the game. Looks like he's going to be a special teams player. Rayon Lane III, drafted out of Navy. I didn't see much on defense. I will say that one of my favorite guys in the defensive backfield, Antonio Johnson, a safety, had 4 tackles, 1 solo tackle. And he's got some talent. He was a 5th-round pick a couple of years ago. And he may have been a steal in the 5th round. I think he's going to make the team. However, the Jaguars have a new defensive coordinator, and the defense is going to be run a little bit differently than obviously when Ryan Nielsen was there and Mike Codwell was there. But these stars, these guys making the huge money, the first-round draft picks, and I'm talking about Trayvon Walker and Josh Hines-Allen, they need to look themselves in the mirror, man. They've got to lead this defense. They got to make more tackles and create more havoc, and that's my opinion. Rayon, man, looks like a breath of fresh air out of Navy, out of the Naval Academy. Looked like he was trying to make the team, and that's what all these guys should look like. He could end up probably being a special teams player. When you talk about the offensive line, both starting offensive tackles got whistled for penalties early in the game, and I don't think they were in there, but probably the first quarter. But they both got penalized. And then late in Trevor Lawrence's drive, the one drive he was in the game, number 99 for the Steelers seemed to fall or lunge at Trevor Lawrence and fall on him late in the Jaguars quarterback Trevor Lawrence's only drive he played. The only drive he played in, so he played less than a quarter. Apparently, Lawrence is okay from and after the hit. No flag on that one, which looked close to being a late hit through my eyes. Jaguars wide receiver Parker Washington, I believe, had 3 catches in the game. I believe looked pretty good. Travis Hunter, Brian Thomas Jr., they both touched the ball a time or two, as did De'Ami Brown, the number 3 wide receiver. But when it's all said and done, my take, the Jaguars kicked a lot of field goals, 4 field goals, didn't get the ball in the end zone enough to win the game. The defense couldn't stop the Steelers most of the night. And this is my take, as the Jags lose the first preseason game 31-25 to the Pittsburgh Steelers. And remember, it's just preseason and the first one at home in 2025. By the way, the starters played, but not very long, only in the first quarter. Quarterback Trevor Lawrence only played on the first drive. The Jaguars exited with the preseason loss, with apparently no injuries, which is good news, of course. So that's some of my news and notes from the preseason game, the first preseason game where the Jaguars lost to the Steelers 31-23. Alex has been covering women's soccer. Sporting Jacks, a female pro soccer team. The ladies soccer team got rained out recently a few days ago. Concerts, oh man, got UB40 coming. Should we take a look at the concerts? I think we will. Let me pull up some concert information if we can real quick, like UB40, and this is from BigJReport.com in the Neighbors 2 section. Also want to talk about our sponsors, Mad Max and the Mad Max Mix. Weebly.com. Mad Max is a great show on Wednesday nights. JC is live from the pub on Thursday nights. And again, JC, they were talking about you in the Big J Report Facebook chat. The very next day, I guess it was Friday, or even perhaps it was Saturday. And John Gaylor gave you a thumbs up. He said, man, that's a great show. And he's listening. And I think Alex Nunnery may be listening too. My guess would be Gaylor's listening more. but I could be wrong. But John Gaylor enjoyed the show on Thursday night, JC. And you too can listen to JC's Live from the Pub show at LakeUfallahits.com. Great internet radio where it's all good. Mad Max is on the day before on Wednesdays, playing great request. Leonard Skinner, Atlanta Rhythm section. Let's see, Max plays Steely Dan for me. I hear John Lennon. I've heard Pink Floyd, and there's more people besides me that are wanting to hear the Steely Dan. JC's playing Steely Dan on his Thursday night show, Live from the Pub with JC at LakeUfallahits.com. Great internet radio where it's absolutely good. Where it's all good, right? LakeUfallahits.com. Great internet radio where it's all good. Mad Max's show at madmaxmix.weebly.com is on Wednesday nights. August the 23rd, UB40 with special guest The Fix. UB40 with special guest The Fix on August the 23rd. In St. Augustine, UB40 and The Fix. The Fix will be in Clearwater, Florida on August the 21st. And JC, you've got an opportunity to see UB40 in The Fix in Atlanta, August 27th in Atlanta, Georgia, August 29th in Birmingham. They're going to be in Houston, Texas on September the 3rd, and many other locations, right? I think it's about 15 or 16 concert dates. UB40 with special guest The Fix, and The Fix is the group I would be going to see. Now, UB40 had that song Red, Red Wine, which was great. They are more of a reggae pop group. Had that big hit Red Red Wine, but I probably would gravitate more toward The Fix. Is more my type of music with The Fix. Red Skies at Night, Saved by Zero. Be a great song on the. If you had a guy wearing number 0, it'd be a great song. For the PA system to play if the guy scores a touchdown. Saved by Zero, right? The Fix. So check out JC Live from the Pub on Thursday nights at LakeUfallahits.com. Mad Max's show is on Wednesday nights. We got the links, Mad Max, of your show and JC's show in the Neighbors 2 section. We've also got concerts listed up in the Neighbors 2 section as well. And we'll hit some of the concerts right now. Brad Paisley, JC, is come and gone. He was in St. Augustine back on August the 2nd at the St. Augustine Amphitheater. Here's a good one I was talking about a moment ago. UB40 in The Fix at the St. Augustine Amphitheater on Saturday night, August 23rd. That's Saturday night, August 23rd of 2025 for UB40 and The Fix at 7:30 p.m. on Saturday night, August 23rd. And JC, we know about Peter Frampton. You might do a double take on this one. Peter Frampton. That's right. Peter Frampton on Wednesday evening, October the 29th of 2025 at 7 o'clock p.m. at the St. Augustine Amphitheater in St. Augustine, Florida. Also, another great event, tickets for Mickey Dolenz, the last surviving member of the Monkees. If you go to this show, you're probably going to cry a little bit because he's going to do a tribute to the 3 previous Monkees that have passed away. Songs and stories, a great event to go to. Tickets for Mickey Dolenz of the Monkees are on sale now. Songs and stories at the Florida Theater with Mickey Dolenz, last surviving member of the Monkees. That show will be on December the 5th of 2025. Those tickets are on sale now. Mickey Dolenz. That's something I'd like to go see. I don't think I'm going to get an opportunity to go, but I would love to see that. Mickey Dolenz in December 2025 at the Florida Theater in downtown Jacksonville, Florida. We talked about the Jaguars. The defense, they don't look like they could stop anybody. Dewan Smoot is a very good addition to the team. He got a big sack in the game. Trayvon Walker was in there briefly. And I looked at the stats. I don't think he had any stats on defense. Again, it was only preseason. The Steelers 31, the Jacksonville Jaguars 25. It's just preseason. But let me tell you, it is going to be, as I shake my finger, It is going to be about wins and losses in the regular season. This is just preseason game number 1, Steelers 31, Jaguars 25 at home. It's going to do it for the Teal Shirt Report podcast, episode show number 43. That's right, John Copenhaver, number 43, tight end for the Jaguars, a rookie. And, of course, Larry Brown, number 43 of the Washington Redskins, late 60s, early 1970s, great running back who wore number 43. And I'll throw in the king, Richard Petty. And he raced those cars in NASCAR for years, won a lot of races, and his car was number 43. Almost forgot about the king, Richard Petty. Going to do it for episode show number 43 of the Teal Shirt Report podcast. This is really our first season on YouTube. I think we've been doing YouTube now for almost a year or so. However, this podcast, because we started doing audio in the beginning, this podcast has been going on for 6 years. We started 6 years ago, right? If I count it on my fingers, we've been doing it 6 years, since about mid-January of 2020. You guys have a great day. We're talking Jaguars football, and we're mainly going to talk about the Jacksonville Jaguars on this podcast, North Florida entertainment, SEC football from time to time. In fact, a good bit of the time. Alex is doing videos on this channel too, and he'll be doing a lot of high school football stuff in the coming days with the high school football season getting underway in North Florida, South Georgia, that pocket we love in Southeast Alabama. And I want to thank our executive producer, JC. Also, Alex Nunnery, another producer, and John Gaylor. Thank you, sir, for everything. We appreciate all your help, your comments. John and I were batting back and forth, and I'm still thinking the Jags offense can get it open by the regular season. I told John they're going to have to score 35 points to win games if the defense doesn't get better. Then John said if they score 35 points a game, they'll take me to a steakhouse for my favorite steak. So we'll see what happens. Maybe steak and shrimp might be the way to do it. There's Longhorns not that far from world headquarters, Mr. Gaylor. I will tell you that. However, 35 points, I know John and a lot of people say, that's almost impossible. But I think if you can average some games 31, 32, up to 35 points, I think that is huge. But this offensive line is going to have to get better. We had penalties in the first quarter on both the starting left tackle, Walker Little. The Jags were not going to draft an offensive lineman real high in the draft because they went after Travis Hunter, traded up to get him. But Walker Little got flagged for a penalty, and I believe both of these were – I'll have to look up the exact penalty. One may have been holding. There may have been an offsides, but there was a penalty thrown on both starting tackles who were in there briefly. Left tackle Walker Little and also the right tackle Anton Harrison both got thrown penalty flags. A backup offensive lineman who was signed in free agency, the guy that was with the Eagles last year, Fred Johnson, I believe his name is, he got flagged for a penalty too. Penalty flags, they got to work the kinks out with the penalties. You can't have that many penalties and win a game. They obviously didn't win this game. The Steelers 31, the Jaguars 25. So there's a lot the Jaguars can work on. This is episode show number 43 of the Teal Shirt Report podcast. Thank you to our sponsors, Saucer Realty and Capital, for your real estate needs in North Florida, whether you're buying or selling, whether it's home, residential, business, or commercial real estate. Saucer Realty and Capital. There's a link on our homepage for your real estate needs. You'll find the link for Saucer Realty and Capital right in the middle of both of our weather reports on the homepage. Want to thank Mad Max. Great show Wednesday nights at madmaxmix.weebly.com. Max plays a lot of songs for us. And JC the very next night on Thursday nights, live from the pub with JC. John Gaylor gave you a big thumbs up on your show, JC, as well. That's going to do it for the Teal Shirt Report podcast. This has been episode show number 43. The preseason game, Cam Little kicks a 70-yard field goal. And he was 4 for 4 in the game kicking. I like the kid out of Navy. Dewan Smoot gets a big sack, but after that, what else is there? The running backs looked pretty good at times. Tank Bigsby, played pretty good. They didn't carry the ball that much, but I think the running backs would be okay. I think the receivers would be doing good, but just going to have, I don't know, better poise with the offensive line. That we understand this was a first game, though. Steelers 31, Jaguars 25 to open up the preseason here in Jacksonville on Saturday night, August the 9th. Jaguars lose to the Steelers 31-25. 8-man football, the Florida Steelers, won a big game. Before I go, and of course, Alex is covering a lot of this on his videos, but let me pull up some of the stuff if I missed anything, because we're getting ready to go. Alex Nunnery wanted to congratulate the Florida Steelers on an impressive win on Saturday night, August the 9th. The Florida Steelers 28, the Duval Knights 24. Alex said Abron Brown, Charles Keach, and JP run a great organization. And that was a good report that Alex filed. Jumbo Shrimp keep winning on the road. Jacksonville Jumbo Shrimp 9, Nashville Sounds 5. A final score on Saturday, August the 9th of 2025 on the road up in Nashville. I don't think the Jumbo Shrimp have lost on this road trip. I think they've won 5 straight, and now they're 70-42 on the AAA baseball season. And yes, they are going to be in the AAA baseball playoffs. Special thanks to all of our sponsors, the madmaxmix.weebly.com, LakeUfallahits.com, great internet radio where it's all good. Check out JC Live from the Pub on Thursday nights. Check out Mad Max Wednesday nights with the madmaxmix.weebly.com. Special thanks to Saucer Realty and Capital. And again, we want to thank our executive producer, JC, for everything. Also, Alex Nunnery, one of our producers, and John Gaylor, our basically a contributor and correspondent. John Gaylor, thank you so very, very much. Preseason game 1 is in the books. And, preseason, it's not really that important. The guys are getting their work out there. That's probably the most important part of it. Cam Little got more work than anybody. 4 field goals he kicked, 4 out of 4, including a 70-yarder on the last play of the first half. I think the clock had run out. Somehow the Jags got the word to the officials, maybe before the play began, on the last play before the kick, that they wanted to call timeout. I think the clock had run out, but they put an extra second on there, and Cam Little, he kicked it. He did. He kicked a 70-yard field goal. But basically, what is it? Practice. Preseason game. Last play of the half. But again, congratulations to Cam Little. Thank you guys for watching. I am Scott with BigJReport.com. This has been the Teal Shirt Report podcast, episode show number 43. And man, you guys have a great day. Yeah, JC, I know we're like 38 minutes in now. That's going to do it. This has been the Teal Shirt Report podcast. Hey, give us a thumbs up. Give us a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. Go Jags. Duval. Hopefully preseason game number 2 will go better. The regular season will open in just a few weeks against the Panthers. You guys have a great day. Thank you for watching. Thank you.